Hey, welcome students. This is Mr. Stromberger here. I just kind of wanted to, since we're not able to get out and do field trips or really kind of get that hands-on learning, I wanted to make a virtual field trip of something really cool that's happening right now, a phenomenon that we're talking about in science, and kind of show you around this really neat place. So today, wanted to show you around the Besadny Fisheries Facility. So the word anadromous, it's kind of a mouthful. It pretty much just means a fish that starts its life in freshwater, goes out into salt water normally, and then comes back into freshwater to spawn and reproduce, okay? So this whole facility here was built to control invasive species, all right? Now, invasive species are species that come into an environment or an ecosystem and they just mess everything up, right? They have no natural predators, so they really just throw the whole ecosystem off balance, okay? And that's exactly what happened here in Lake Michigan back in the 1940s and 1950s, okay? This small little tiny fish called the alewife, it actually it's from the Atlantic Ocean. And back years ago, the Welland Canal was dug, and that's over in New York to kind of bypass Niagara Falls. And for shipping, right? So people could ship goods from Chicago to out to New York and stuff, right? So but also this fish came in through the Welland Canal, and this fish, when it got into Lake Michigan, it was really good at reproducing, really good at eating, and it bloomed. It just took over Lake Michigan. So the DNR was kind of Department of Natural Resources kind of had this big problem, and they were trying to solve it. And they thought, well, we can't catch all these fish with nets, so maybe we should introduce a bigger fish to eat all of these small little alewife fish. And that's what they did. They introduced 2 species of salmon to the Lake Michigan ecosystem, of the Chinook salmon, or the king salmon, and the coho salmon. Now, since then, they've introduced more species, but those 2 main species are really good at eating alewives. And they eat them so well that there's really not that much of a problem with them in Lake Michigan anymore. Before, back in the 50s and 60s, all the beaches along Lake Michigan were polluted with all these dead fish, and now the salmon really take care of that. So today we are going to explore this facility here in Kewaunee, Wisconsin, and kind of check out how they collect eggs, fertilize them, and then pretty much hatch those small new little salmon babies and put them back into the water to grow up and kind of take care of the invasive species we have here in Lake Michigan, okay? All right, hey, let's go check it out. All right, hey, welcome back, everybody. Kind of a lot of people around today, so hey, we've got to be responsible and mask up, right? So, but hey, we are here on the Kiwani River. Yeah, there are lots of fish. Oh, he's trying to get up the dam, huh? So here on the Kiwani River, there are probably hundreds of Chinook salmon here in the river, and it's kind of hard to see, but they're all those kind of black, long, they look like shadows, but those are actually big 20 to 30 pound fish that are, they can, I think the record size Chinook caught in Wisconsin was 44 pounds and almost 4 feet long, right? So probably how big you were in first grade okay? But this is a pretty cool spot. So we're on the Kiwani River, and if you get in a canoe and you head down the river about 2 miles, you're going to hit Lake Michigan, okay? Now, upriver here is where the DNR stocks these small babies of the salmon species once they hatch from area hatcheries, okay? Now the cool thing about salmon is they have a really good sense of smell, okay? So they want to get up to this spot that they were born in, right? Where they were first introduced to this chemical smell of the water. The problem is they can't get past this dam, okay? So the DNR has essentially tricked them by making a bypass, which is kind of over there, to where the fish have to swim up that bypass and jump up a series of waterfalls, these kind of fish ladders, to get into these holding ponds, okay? Now, these salmon, they're pretty big. Their life cycle, they only live 4 to 5 years, okay? So they're going to, as babies, they're gonna swim out to Lake Michigan. They're gonna eat all the alewives they can possibly handle. And then when it comes to time to reproduce and essentially die, they're gonna try to get back up to that spot, okay? And that's where the DNR, that kind of manipulation comes in. Now, this facility, they are primarily collecting and fertilizing eggs. And then once those eggs are collected and fertilized, they are sent off to area hatcheries to raise over winter. And then in the springtime, when they're big enough, they re-release them into pretty much every tributary on Lake Michigan. So there's a few egg collection sites. There's the Root River down near Milwaukee. There's this site, and there's also a site called Strawberry Creek, which is up in Sturgeon Bay, okay? So pretty cool, you know. When it comes to fishing, obviously this is a refuge. You can't fish around here, but you can fish further downriver. Now, these salmon, they're really not hungry anymore. So the only way you're gonna catch one of them is if you're bringing your lure across the water and they don't like your lure, it's getting a little too close to them, they're gonna hit it aggressively. It's called an aggressive strike. So it's possible, but it's kind of few and far between. But anyway, pretty cool. Hey, we're gonna go check out the underwater fishing window where you can actually see these salmon jump up into the holding ponds. And then I'll kind of talk about the holding ponds and how they push them into the facility and collect and fertilize their eggs. All right, hey, we'll see you here in a minute. All right, so we're looking at the bypass channel, and this is really the second jump that they have to come up to. It's only maybe 2 feet tall, split in half. But there's a bunch of them right here. It's kind of hard to see with all the white water, but they are, you know, they can make this jump easy. This is nothing to them. You know, when it comes to these fish, they're originally from the Pacific Northwest. It's where the DNR got them from back in the 60s. And out west, they can actually grow to be, you know, 70, 80 pounds, right? But here in Wisconsin, they just don't have the food source and also the clean water. Oh, that one almost made it. But they are very strong, powerful fish, nonetheless. So then if we look up, there's the second jump. Then also there is the sea lamprey barrier, which is another invasive species control. It prevents fish with sea lampreys attached to them to swim further up the Kiwani River and spawn in the tributaries of Lake Michigan. All right, we're gonna keep checking it out. All right, hey, we're at the underwater viewing window. The kids are loving this. But you can see a couple of the jumps here. There's the first one is going to be right here. And then the second one is right there. So it's kind of cool. I would say these jumps are a little higher now. They're probably, I don't know, about 2 feet, maybe 2.5. And hey, we're gonna check back in a minute. All right, hey, welcome back, students. Hey, so we're here at the holding ponds. You know, these Chinook, they have to make a series of jumps, probably about 6 jumps that they make. And then they, the DNR can kind of manipulate which of these holding ponds they want them to stay in, okay? Now once they're ready to actually spawn, there are these big fences, they call them crowders, and they can push all the fish from one side all the way to the other. There's this little narrow channel right here that all the fish will kind of accumulate in, okay? Once they're in this channel, the DNR use another crowder, a smaller one, to actually push them up into the facility, okay? Now once they're in the facility, it's a really fast process because essentially the staff have to grab a female, kind of squeeze all of her eggs out of her, and then fertilize those eggs with the milk from a male, okay? And once the eggs leave the female, that process has to happen within 20 seconds. Because if it does not happen within that time frame, there's a biological mechanism of the eggs to essentially not be fertilized. And they give this outer protective coat on them, and they won't allow anything into the egg to pass through the cell membrane of the egg, okay? So then once those eggs are fertilized, they're kind of stabilized, they are disinfected, and then they are transported off to area hatcheries. So the ones these eggs normally go to are wild rose and kettle moraine fish hatcheries. Pretty cool. And then they stay at those hatcheries over the winter, and like I said before, then they're stocked into upland rivers, tributaries of Lake Michigan after that, okay? All right, hey, we're gonna check out one more thing, and we will see you soon. Hey, welcome back, students. So, kind of hard to talk about the ecosystem of Lake Michigan without a little visit to the lake. So here we are out at the pier and lighthouse, and you know, this channel right here, let's see, I'm just going to spin around, yep. This channel right here behind me, you know, those salmon, they will follow this channel, and the river like dumps right into this channel, okay? So, and then they'll make that 2-mile swim up until they hit the dam at Besadny. And with nowhere else to go, they have to kind of swim up and jump those ladders into the facility, into those holding ponds. So, pretty cool out. But you know, if you ever come out here, it's kind of neat. You know, there's definitely take a walk down the pier and check out the lighthouse. There's a little beach further down that way. Waves are pretty big today, and I don't know, just kind of a nice day to get outside. All right, we'll check in with you soon. All right, hey, welcome back. So behind me is the processing building where they actually, you know, they call it stripping the eggs out of the fish and fertilize those eggs. Now, you might be thinking, so what happens to all these salmon? You know, if they only live 4 to 5 years and reproducing is the last thing that they do, and you know, it happens in this building, what happens to all of those thousands of fish that come through this building every year? Well, everything gets kind of recycled, you know. It's kind of neat, you know, all the younger fish that you know that are still edible are actually donated to food pantries. So during a processing day, the food pantries will come up here with a bunch of coolers full of ice, and they will actually take all those fish home to you know, feed people in their programming. And then all the other ones that aren't actually edible, are a little too old, they are actually used for a natural plant fertilizer. So they take all the fish, they pretty much grind them up, and they process them into this organic fertilizer. So nothing is really wasted in this process. And the cool benefit is that one, you know, we are keeping our beaches clean and healthy, and our ecosystem of Lake Michigan in balance with the introduction of these salmon species. And two, you know, we've created essentially a multi-million-dollar fishing industry, right? A tourism industry, because people come from all over the world to try to land that 44-pound fish, okay? So, so pretty cool how, you know, we can control invasive species and also have some side benefits as well, okay? All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, normally when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, the facility is actually, they have an open house every year, which is the first Saturday in October, which of course it was canceled this year, but I definitely say to come down here and check it out during that first Saturday. It's really neat. You know, you can actually talk to fisheries biologists, and they have this, the staff here actually raise sturgeon, lake sturgeon, to try to reintroduce them into the waterways. So you can actually adopt the sturgeon here and re-release it into the Kiwani River. So some really neat things that happen on an open house. So I definitely say come down here next year and check it out. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, take care of yourselves.